Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Kedar, and on this channel we talk about design, architecture, parametric design and generative AI. And today's video is going to be a continuation of my previous video where we compared 4 AI models, which was Flux.1 Kontext, Qwen image edit, Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0 for single image editing. And we did around 68 tests comparing these 4 models and clearly came to a conclusion that Seedream is the best model for single image editing because the output is double the size in comparison to the remaining 3 models. On the second place, there was surprisingly a tie between Qwen image edit and Nano Banana, and in the last place we have Flux Kontext. And if you ask me today, I don't think anybody should work with Flux.1 Kontext unless you are in the Flux ecosystem because it is really lacking. If you are working inside of ComfyUI, basically you want something that is open weights, I would really recommend looking at Qwen image edit because it performs really well. If you're okay with API basically giving your data to a company, then I would say you can choose either between Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0. Go with Seedream if you want high resolution, go with Nano Banana if you're working with characters. So that was the overall conclusion of the previous video. I will also link my previous video if you haven't seen it already. So continuing from that, today again we'll be comparing the same 4 models, which is Flux.1 Kontext, Qwen image edit 2509, which is a specific model developed by Qwen for multiple image editing, and then Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0. And like I said in the previous video, we looked at single image editing. Today we'll be looking at multiple image editing. And before we see the examples that I've created and seeing how to work with these models inside of ComfyUI, I wanted to thank you all because we just crossed 1000 subscribers. It really means a lot that you're watching my videos and supporting my channel. So really thank you. I got this notification from YouTube last week, so quickly took a screenshot and I wanted to share this with you all. So really thank you. So now let's see how these models compare with each other for multiple image editing. And before we begin, I want to give you a quick disclaimer. None of these models produce output that you want in one go, and as you increase the number of images, the randomness and weirdness will increase. And you see here this plethora of outputs. You can see even with my face or architecture, at no point I was happy with the first output because there was always some kind of weirdness or randomness. And like I said, when you increase the number of images, this randomness and weirdness increases. So please keep that in mind. While with single image editing, you will get your output in one go. With multiple image editing, you will get your output in multiple tries, as it says multiple image editing. Okay, and now let's see what these 4 models talk about multiple image editing. Flux.1 Kontext does not specifically say anything about multiple image editing. Nano Banana clearly mentions that it has multiple image fusion. Same with Seedream, it says you can do batch input and output, which means you can do multiple image editing. Qwen image edit did not have this. So they released something called as Qwen image edit 2509, where this is now really supporting multiple image editing. For 3 images, you can't add more than that. Of course, you can add any number of images with multiple batch node, but it does not really work. So clearly, Qwen image edit 2509, Nano Banana and Seedream 4.0 support multiple image editing. Flux.1 Kontext does not specifically mention that they support multiple image editing, and this will be reflected in the examples that I've created as well. And before we look at the examples that I have created, let's first see what to install inside of ComfyUI. And the version that I am on right now is 0.3.60, and if you're on this version, then only you'll be able to access Qwen image edit 2509 because it came with the recent update. So please update your ComfyUI, restart ComfyUI, and you will get the Qwen image edit 2509 workflow. Apart from that, you need to add some credits, basically adding some money inside of ComfyUI because Nano Banana and Seedream work with API like we saw in the previous video. So you need to add some credits to work with Nano Banana and Seedream. Apart from that, there are some custom nodes that I'm using in the workflow. The first one is RG3, which basically allows to compare the input and the output. Then we have KJ nodes, which has a component called multi-batch image, which allows you to input more than 3-4 images. And the last 2 custom nodes are basically to manipulate the size of the images. If they're big, we can make it small and so on and so forth. Okay. So with that, now let's see how to work with Seedream 4.0, which is really simple. So the first thing, you go to ComfyUI, you go to templates, then you go to image API, you go to Seedream 4.2 and it costs the same $0.03 or 2.65 INR. If you click on it, you will get this particular workflow. And with Seedream 4.2, they clearly mention that it supports up to 10 reference images for input, which is really good. And this is what the workflow looks like. So you add your image that you want to change, you add your image from which you want the data to be added to your original image, then you use a batch image node, or you can use multiple batch images from KJ custom nodes, and then you can add your prompt, change the aspect ratio, and then you get your output. The same goes for Nano Banana as well. So you can go to templates again, then go to image API, then go to Google Gemini image. Now this costs a bit more. This costs around $0.039 or 3.4 INR. And this is the workflow that you get. Now with Nano Banana, because you cannot input the aspect ratio of the image, they clearly say here the image 1 will determine the ratio of the output image. So whatever is your first image will determine the aspect ratio of the image. So if you want a landscape image, the first image has to be landscape. If you want to have a square, the first image has to be square, and so on and so forth. Okay. And similar to Seedream, this is the workflow that it looks like. So you're going to use the same batch image node, the image that you want to change. Now in this case, not just the image that you want to change, but also the aspect ratio of the image that you want, and the second image of which whatever data you want, and then you get your output. Very, very simple and straightforward. Now coming to Qwen image edit 2509, which came inside of ComfyUI on 23rd September, literally last week. So again, you can go to templates inside of ComfyUI. Now in this case, you need to go to image, and you will see here there is something called as Qwen image edit 2509, and this is the workflow that it looks like. So clearly here you will see for positive and negative prompt, they have added image 1, image 2 and image 3, which was prior only image. So for this one, the model will also change. You can't use the Qwen image edit model. You need to download a Qwen image edit 2509 model. So let's see what to download in our computers. So if I zoom into this model links, these are the models that they recommend. So we have already downloaded the LoRa, 4-step LoRa. We already have the text encoder. We already have the VAE. I would not recommend you to download this 19 GB model unless you have that much of VRAM. I don't have, because I have a 12 GB VRAM. Instead, I will download a GUF model by going to this website. I will of course link it in the description. And the one that I'm downloading is this one, which is Q3KM, around 9.68 GB, which will work on my VRAM. If you don't know which model to download for your VRAM, I will link my video which talks about how to select the best GUF model for your computers. Okay, and this is how the workflow looks like. It is really simple. All it has added is these image 1, 2, 3, image 1, 2, 3. Really straightforward. Okay. Apart from that, when I was testing this Qwen image edit 2509 model with a 4-step LoRa, I found the results to be a little bit weird or over processed. So then I changed the steps to 2 and I got a really good result. So let me show you that. So whenever you're using this particular model, don't use 4 steps, use only 2 steps, which also reduce the time of generation. For example, here in this case, on the left hand side, you will see I did 4 steps. On the right hand side, I did 2 steps. Okay. And I want to pinpoint at some location specifically. So if you look at this, how sharp the light is here versus how nicely dissipated the light is here, looks really good with 2 steps. Also, I've noticed that the materials become much flatter with 4 steps. So for instance, if you look at the wooden texture here versus the wooden texture here it looks much better. So I would recommend to using 2 steps and not 4 steps, even for characters. So I'm using my face and I don't know who this character is. It has made my face so flat that I don't even know who this person is. Whereas with step 2, my face remains intact, only my shirt is changed. So when you're using Qwen image edit 2509, especially with the 4-step LoRa, change the steps to 2 and not to 4. Okay. So then the workflow will look something like this. So you load your images, how many more images you want, 1, 2, 3. Then you have your prompt and you have your encoder for positive and negative. Then you have your K-sampler plus your model, GUF model, and then you have your output. And if you want, you can use a image comparer node. So that's the simple workflow of Qwen image edit 2509. Really good model. I have tested before this only with Qwen image edit. Horrible result. I wasted 2 days trying to figure out how it works with Qwen image edit. I did come up with the way that it works, but it's fine. We have a better model. Let's scrap it. You know, that's how work of AI is. something comes in one day, the previous day work is redundant, okay? And then with Flux Kontext, it's really simple. Again, you go to templates. In this case, you go to Flux, then you go to Flux Kontext dev version, and this is the workflow. You don't need to change really anything in Flux.1 context, but because these components are so overlapped on top of each other, I just move things around, and this is the final workflow that we have. One difference between Nano Banana, Seedream, Qwen versus Flux Kontext is that in those three models, you can use batch image node. Here you need to use image stitch node, and I have done multiple tests. Flux.1 context really works well with image stitch, whereas the remaining three model work really well with batch image node. Okay, so that's the only difference. Apart from that, I have added these two components in the workflow, which is called as nearest SDXL resolution. So because let's say sometimes the image may be 4000 by 4000 resolution, I don't have to manually calculate it. So I've added this component. Now the width and the height from this goes to empty latent image, and that goes to the latent image. Okay, only these two things I have added. Apart from that, the workflow is really same. So you have your load images, then you have your prompts, then you have your case sampler with the GUF model, and then you have your output, plus you have your image comparer node. And the models for Flux.1 context remain the same like previous video. We have the VAE, we have text encoder, clip I. I would not recommend FP16 because it's a higher model. Rather take a scaled down version so it does not load your computer. Also, I would not recommend the Flux.1 dev context model. Rather, we can download the GUF model like we saw in the previous video. So in this case, I have downloaded the Flux Kontext dev Q6K model because it is around 10 GB, works really well with my computer. Okay, and now that we have seen what to download for these four models, let's take a quick ComfyUI tutorial, 5-10 minutes, and then you will see the use cases that I have made. Okay, so I've started ComfyUI. And now I want to combine all of these four workflows inside of one, so we can compare all of these inside of one workflow. So what I will do, I will first take all of them separately, and then let's see how to combine them. So first I go to templates, I go to image API, I will take Seedream, then I go to templates again, go to image API, take Nano Banana, then I go to templates, I go to Flux, and here I will see Flux Kontext dev. Then again, okay, I need to download something, it's fine. I already have it. Then again I go to templates, I go to image, and then I say Qwen image edit 2509. I will ignore this. Now I will combine all of these in one workflow. So I have this one new workflow. I'm going to copy this. So I only need this. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V. Okay. I'm going to speed this up. I'm just going to copy all the four in one file now. Okay, so I've copied all the four workflows inside of one file. So you will see here, the first one is Seedream, then we have Nano Banana, then we have Flux Kontext, and then we have Qwen image edit. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove unnecessary text so that the file becomes less heavy, and then we'll move ahead. So I'm going to again fast forward this. Okay, so I've removed unnecessary text. Now I will first clean up Flux Kontext, then Qwen, so it looks nice. Okay, so I'm going to do that quickly now. And instead of load image from outputs, I will just say load image and delete these one. Okay, and the rest I'm just going to fast forward it. Okay, so I separated this Flux Kontext. Now the same I'll do for Qwen, and then we will load the models. So I have made even Qwen image edit look better. Now let's change the model. Now here they have load diffusion model for Qwen. I don't want it. I will say unit. So in this case, I want a Qwen image edit 2509. Just replace this, delete this model. Rest you have all the model downloaded, which will be your Qwen 4-step LoRa and then the Qwen text encoder. Now let's see what to change for context. Now similarly for context, you change it to GUF model. So I say unit loader, and here I will change the Flux to context dev Q6K, replace this here, and you can change the VAE, depends which folder you have. So mine says Flux AE, this will be clip I, this will be the scaled model. So these are the only things that you need to change in Flux Kontext and Qwen image edit. Okay, one more thing that you need to do in Flux Kontext is that this spacing width, don't keep it to 0, keep it at least to 10-15. Otherwise the image will stick to one another and AI will think that both of them are one images or how many images you input. So when you're using image stitch node, see that there is some spacing between these images. Okay, now let's do the same for Seedream and Nano Banana, which is really Nothing, just have to delete this, and for Seedream need to activate this. So I've cleaned the script for Seedream, Nano Banana, Flux Kontext and Qwen. I'm going to make them closer and group them. Perfect. Now I don't want to change these two images constantly for each of these models. I don't want to Control C, Control V for all of them. So what I will do, I will take these two images outside. We will take a reroute and then connect it to all of the models. Okay, so simply let's do that right now. Now for Nano Banana and Seedream, we don't want this as the input. What we want is we want batch image. This is up to you, the way you feel comfortable with the workflow. There is no hard and fast rule that you need to reroute things and do that. I prefer this because I don't have to do the same things over and over again. And it's good to test as well the outputs that we generate. The same I will do for Qwen now. Okay, gonna quickly clean things up a little bit. So this is the final workflow it looks like. So I have my two images which goes in all of these four workflow. You can also do subgraph, which is much simpler. We have not reached there, so I don't want to do that. Now what I need to do, I need to just change these two images and change the prompt. Okay, so I have taken these two images. Now what I want to do is that this architecture, the background of this architecture needs to change to this particular image. Very simple. And this will be my prompt. So you can pause and read it. Now when you're going to run this, I would not recommend you run all of these together. The first two, yes, you can because they're just API. The next two, bypass one, run and then bypass the other. Okay. Or what you can do, there is a node inside of RG3 which is called fast group bypass. Now what it does, you see, I have four groups, one for Seedream, Nano Banana, Kontext and Qwen. If I off them, you will see none of them are running right now. It is quite simple and handy. So what you can do, you can on the first one run, off it, on the second one run, off it, third one on, off, on, off. Quite simple. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do and then we'll see the output. Before running, one thing that I forgot to do for Flux Kontext is that we can't directly take the image stitch into the VAE encode. What we need to do is we need to change this latent image. Otherwise, it will take the resolution of both of them stuck together. Like you see, it was running and then it's a resolution of combining these two images. Quite simple. So many things to remember. Sometimes I forget. Humanness comes in picture. So what I will do, I will simply take a reroute of this. I will say nearest HDXL. So I'll take this nearest HDXL. Now this is only for Flux Kontext. Because if you see in Qwen, the image number 1 goes to VAE encode. So whatever is your image 1 becomes the size of your output. But in this case, we need to change that. And then I will say empty latent image. And for this, I connect the height and the width from nearest HDXL resolution of image 1. That now goes to VAE latent. This is something to do only for context. So I have the results from all the four models. Let me on all of them. There is get node and set node inside of KJ nodes, but I don't want to go into that right now. Okay, so now let's compare the results. So with Seedream, it has overly done. I love the output from Nano Banana. Really good understanding both of them. With Flux Kontext, I do appreciate the output, I guess. But the flowers and all that are not really the same. And with Qwen image, it looks really good. You know, let me take the background here. So you see with Qwen, it really looks like it has taken all of the attributes of the image, including the flower, has just put the building in this particular setting. Really nice. With Flux Kontext, it has done it, but still I see the grass and all that here. With Nano Banana, I really love this output. With Qwen image edit, what it has done, it has only copy pasted the building onto that image. While Nano Banana has kind of understood the overall scale of the building. You see these flowers are not becoming more than the deck. While here it looks like now this has become a jungle scene. Okay, but here from this output, I think Qwen has done a good job and Nano Banana for API has done a good job. Now let's take another example. Now that we looked at two images, now I want to see for three images. So what I want me standing beside this car, wearing this hat in a beach setting, and this will be the prompt. Okay, you can pause and read it. Now in this case, because we only have batch image that takes two inputs, what we will do, rather than again connecting the batch image to the next batch image, we can use a multi-batch image that come from KJ node. Now here what you can do, you can specify how many images you have. So I'm going to say 3 and I'm going to say update. So now simply I'm going to add all the 3 images here and then run it. Now one thing to be mindful of is the aspect ratio. Okay, for example, here with Seedream it's going to give you a square output. Now with Nano Banana it is going to give me a vertical output because my first image, which is me, is in the vertical aspect ratio. So that you have to decide. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to change Seedream to a ratio of 3/4. So we maintain the vertical format. Okay. Now with Qwen, we don't need to use multi-batch image because we already have 3 images input with the positive and negative prompt. And with Flux Kontext, I'm going to do the same multi-batch image. And then I will run all of them separately. Let's see, I'm not sure about Flux Kontext. Do I need to use 2 image stitch? I'm not sure. So let me run all of this and then I will show you the results. Okay, so all 4 images have been generated again. With Flux Kontext, this multi-batch did not work. So what I did was I added 2 image stitch node. So the first 2 were stitched like this. Then I added the third one and again 1 more image stitch. So if you have to do multiple for Flux Kontext, this is what you have to do. So let's see the result. Let me off these wires. So what we wanted combining all of these 3 images, which is my face, the car and the hat, in a beach setting. And I think Seedream did a fantastic job of retaining my face. Yes, the car is not full, but I think this is a good image. Okay, whereas the rest of the 3, they changed my face. So you see Nano Banana, it has changed me. I don't know who it is, but the car looks same. Even the number is 771. So if you see in the car number plate, it is 771. So the car is same. Only thing, my face is changed. With Flux Kontext, I think this is really not a great output. I think even the car is substantially changed. You see, this has 2 intakes. This has like 1 total intake. So the car also has changed. I look like somebody else. Now, similarly with Qwen image edit, I think the car remains the same. Yes, the number also is same, 771. I have the hat, but the face is changed. So like I said in the beginning of the video, the more images you will add, the more weirdness and randomness you will see. But in this case, Seedream worked. Okay. But you understand the key concept. Now, if you have to add more images, only thing you need to do is in this image batch multi-node, add how many ever images you want. So I'm going to say Control C, Control V. And then now let's say I want 10 images. I'm going to press 10 and then I say update. And now each of the images goes in individual slot. This then goes to the API node and then you prompt it. Okay. And this will work for Nano Banana and Seedream. But the problem arises when you have for Flux Kontext and you have for Qwen. I've come up with a solution. I will show you when I'm showing the examples, but that's mostly with the workflow. It is really simple. Only take from the template. Only you need to change the GUF model. In terms of Qwen, you need to change the steps to 2. In terms of Flux Kontext, you need to add this, which is nearest HDXL and empty latent image, so that the image is not coming from this combination of images. Otherwise, the image aspect ratio and the size will be bigger than what you want it to be. And yeah, that's mostly it for the workflow. Now I will show you the use cases that I have made, which are really interesting. I'll jump back to my presentation. And now let's look at some of the use cases that I have created. Okay. Again, in this case, similar to the previous video, I will be not judging them based on the quality because we can always upscale them or swap the spaces. What I'll be judging them with respect to input image adherence and prompt adherence. Okay. Now the first one is this Google Earth screenshot, which was really interesting. It is a little bit architectural, but it got really a nice interaction on LinkedIn. I had more than 100k impressions, more than 1500 likes and things like that. So I thought I should share this. So what I did was I first took a screenshot of Google Earth. I upscaled it and then I will apply a pattern. So you will see, let me play the video. So you will first see the upscaled image. Then I highlighted the building inside of Photoshop, and with prompting, I was able to flow the pattern on the building, convert it into night view, and the rest of the video I just created with WAN first to last frame to video, and then stitched all of them together inside of Premiere. I will link my WAN 2.2 video where I've explained how first last frame to video works, but this is how I made that video. Okay, so we went from something like this, which is basically an upscaled Google Earth image where this parametric pattern is applied. And the prompt was quite straightforward. I said edit the image by replacing the 3 buildings highlighted in red with 3 new buildings, design each new building with a facade based on provided parametric curved pattern. And you see, in this case, I have tried it with all 4 of the models. Only Nano Banana was able to do a good job. Yes, Seedream has also tried to flow the pattern on the building, but you see it does not change the material. With Qwen image edit and Flux Kontext, there is nothing. Okay, so again we are going to rank this. So in this case, the win goes to Nano Banana. But also with Nano Banana, I had a lot of fails. So it's not like I got this in the first output. You see, all of these are the bad results. Even with this simple editing, I was not able to get a good result in the one go. I had to constantly edit the prompt. I had to constantly change the highlighted region, change the opacity. So there is a lot of backend that constantly keeps on happening because AI does not understand things at one go. Okay. So just wanted to bring that out by showing the fails that I had. And after that, it was really simple. I uploaded this image, then told it to convert into an aerial street view. Now in this case, Qwen Image Edit and Nano Banana did a good job. I don't know why Seedream has again made an aerial view. While Flux Kontext did do a street view, it has completely changed the building. So in this case, the win goes to Qwen and Nano Banana. And then I was wondering how many images can I add for multiple image editing. So I did this 8 image parametric facade and these were my inputs. So what I did was I added these 8 elements into one image batch multi, and the pattern and these elements went separately into batch image. Okay. And this is the result. You see how amazing it is. I was surprised. I did not expect this to work, but it was really great. It added the dog. Yes, things are a little bit changed, but I really like the parametric pattern being transferred on a building. Also, it is not done the exact pattern, okay, which I really appreciate. It took the aesthetic value of this pattern and made a new pattern altogether, which is something what I really like about AI. And then this was really easy to convert into interior space, okay. Now this works only with Seedream and Nano Banana because we are using an API node, okay. And you will see the output from Seedream and Nano Banana. Seedream tried to keep things very rigid, and this looks like an old, 3ds Max render. Looks really bad. So that's why the win goes to Nano Banana in this case. But you might be wondering, is there a way to do this with open weight model, that is Qwen and Flux Kontext? But when you add images differently of different resolution, you will get this error inside of ComfyUI, which basically means there are a lot of images that might not adhere to that particular model's aspect ratio or resolution. In that case, what I did was I simply combined the remaining images into one square image inside of Photoshop, gave it a same prompt, but still did not really work, while Qwen took all of the images and tried to make architecture, really did not work, and Flux Kontext added the pattern to the building, but the rest of the surrounding don't really work. So if you are going to go with more than 2-3 images, I would say doing batch is better. So do the first part, second part, third part, and so on and so forth. Adding more than 3 to 4 images is going to create a lot of weird and randomness unless you go with API. And the next one was really simple. After I had that, then I changed the climate and the time of the day. Now in this case, I'm simply saying it convert into a night view with a dynamic time-lapse style vehicle light. So you see this time-lapse vehicular movement. And in this case, I think I have to go with Nano Banana because you see how dynamic the facade looks by illuminating the neighboring pattern and not just the big squares or cubes like the remaining model. So again, in this case, the win goes to Nano Banana. Nano Banana is really good for multiple image editing. Just gonna put it out there. And then lastly, what I did was I used the same image and asked it to make a modern interior living room view with same design language, okay. And now with Flux Kontext, it did not do it. Qwen Image Edit did it, but what it did was it just converted into an interior, but the architecture remained the same. So I don't like this. I love the output from Nano Banana and Seedream. So that's why the win goes to both of them, okay. And the next use case is this clothing change, which I'm seeing on social media so much. Maybe that's the thing that people want to use AI for. So I took my image and I went from this to this really good output. But here again, in this case, the multi-batch node from a KJ node does not really work because you will see my face has completely changed to something else, okay. So if you have more than 2 images, things are going to start looking weird and random. So my recommendation, if you want to use more than 2 images, use it to get something totally different. Like for the parametric facade example, I used 8 elements and 1 parametric pattern, and I was okay that the building was totally different and did not adhere to any one of the images, but to the bits and pieces of it. And that's what happens when you're using more than 2 to 3 images. So don't do this multi-batch editing, rather do step by step, which is just one part, then the second part, okay. So don't go with this. Then the first one that I did was simply saying that change the shirt. And now in this case, I don't know why Flux Kontext has done this. I don't know why Seedream removed my specs, although I'm really impressed how it has removed my specs. So in this case, the win goes to Qwen and Nano Banana. Again, Qwen used 2 steps, not 4 steps. Then the next one I said add these sunglasses basically replace those sunglasses. And here in this case, you see the sunglasses don't have this golden border, which Nano Banana has done. And I don't know why Seedream has added this pattern. So in this case, the win goes to open weight models. Amazing. Okay. And in the next one, I'm simply saying add this brown fedora hat. And I think all of them have done a good job. Also because it's a very generic hat. Okay. So that's one of the things with image editing. If you have something very generic, it will do a superb job. But if you have something that is more bespoke or that is aligned to your product or to your logo, then it will take at least multiple editing. Okay. So in this case, the win goes to all of them. Okay. And lastly, I said change the background to Sagrada Familia inside of Barcelona. Flux Kontext has done some other church. I don't know why Nano Banana changed my position. It has put me down. So that's why in this case, the win goes to Qwen and Seedream. Really nice. Okay. Then I wanted to see how these models do for style transferring. So basically you have an image, you want to transfer the style to another image. For this, we generally use IP adapter or Flux Redux. So in this case, the prompts are really simple. They're just going to say transfer the style from image 2 to image 1. And in the beginning only, I will tell you Flux Kontext and Qwen image does not do a good job for style transferring. But it's okay. We have IP adapter, we have Flux Redux. So that's fine, they don't need to do. And in this case, simply I wanted to transfer this illustration style onto this building. It does really good job. Both Nano Banana and Seedream. Amazing result. While you might notice that Qwen image edit has done is just a generic illustration, does not really carry forward the style from this image. So I think the win goes to Seedream and Nano Banana. In the next case, I wanted to transfer this style onto my face, but clearly none of them have done a good job. I wish Nano Banana has pushed me a little bit behind, add those reflections or the glare on my face, then it would have done a good job. But in this case, nobody wins. Sorry. Now in the next style transfer, I wanted to transfer this style onto this cat image. And clearly you will see only Nano Banana and Seedream were able to do it, especially that rays that are falling from the top right hand side to the bottom left hand side. Only these two do it. So that's why the win goes to Nano Banana and Seedream. And this is going to be for most of the cases. Nano Banana and Seedream good for style transferring. Qwen image edit and Flux Kontext do not do a good job. I think when I made the Flux Kontext video a couple of months back, we saw style transferring. It does not do a good job. And the next one was really surprising. So I'm just simply saying transfer the style from image 2 to the floor plan rendering in image 1. And you see how beautiful are these results. Especially look at the output from Seedream. Yes, it is a bit weird, but look how those internal spaces are highlighted in brown. I really love it. If I would convert this into an image to 3D and 3D printed, it would look really good. But anyway, don't want to go in that direction. But I think they did a really good job apart from Flux Kontext. With Qwen, I had to change the prompt. I said transfer the white 3D model style to the floor plan rendering, and then it did. With multiple image editing, I have noticed that one prompt will not ever go with any of these 4 models. You will have to constantly change the prompt, which is really annoying, but that's the thing. So in this case, the win does not go to Flux Kontext, but the remaining 3. And the next set of example are going to be this control net transfer. So in the previous video, we looked at how these images can make control net style images. Now I was like, can they transfer that control net style onto the image? Okay. And here in this case, only Qwen image edit 2509 works. Rest of them don't do a good job because that is there in the training process. So the first example, really simple. I used my image and I told it to transfer my image onto this pose. And clearly you will see only Qwen image edit 2509 has done a good job. I also made it a bit complicated by adding my name in the background should be added, which I think apart from Qwen, all 3 did, but Qwen did the main part, which was transferring the pose. So thumbs up to Qwen, and Qwen wins. Okay. And in the second image, I was wondering, okay, it does well for human pose. How will it affect for architecture? So I took this building image. I took the depth map from the old building that you have already seen, which is made of concrete, has grass in the foreground, has a blue sky. And I'm saying change the setting to a desert setting. And clearly you will see only Qwen image edit did a really good job. And I think this is really wonderful because now we don't have to use IP adapter. If we have a depth map, if we have an image, we can quickly transfer the styles, like create hundreds of it. And because it takes only 2 steps, it takes around 40 seconds or something, which is really impressive. I think I want to explore this further maybe in the next video because I find this potential to be really niche, but quite important, which we might not have explored till now in the realm of Gen AI. Something that comes so new and refreshing in the realm of Gen AI really catches my attention, because I'm really bored of all these new models constantly coming, something a little bit better, but something like this is really appealing to me. So the win goes to Qwen image edit. The next one is really fun. So what I did was, I took an image of a dog. I took a canny, which is a line drawing from a cat face, and I said to transform this dog into this line drawing of a cat. And the results you see. Of course, Qwen image edit did a wonderful job. It is a combination of a dog and a cat. Absolutely love it. Okay. Flux Kontext did not do it. I do see that Nano Banana is trying to mix it but was not able to. I do love the output from Seedream. I have to say, I love this anime style or this cartoon style of the dog, whereas the rest of the background is natural. This is one of my favorite style of exploring. The character is this anime or cartoon style, but the background is realistic. But this is not what I was looking for. So in this case, the win again goes to Qwen image edit. So if you have to work with ControlNet type of style transferring, Qwen image edit is your answer. The next test is going to be for some interior spaces. So I went from this interior space to this interior space. Again, in this case, multi-batch node did not work. So you see, it completely changes the architecture. So I had to go again step by step, editing 2 images at the time. So in the first case, I'm simply saying add this abstract painting above the fireplace. Okay. And clearly you will see only Qwen image edit and Nano Banana did a good job. I don't know why Seedream has tapered this so much, and Flux Kontext has just moved the painting on top. So in this case, the win is quite simple to Qwen image edit and Nano Banana. In the next one, I'm saying add this rectangular carpet on the floor, and all of them did add this carpet, but I don't know why Flux Kontext has tilted the floor so much. There is really some problem with Flux Kontext. I think we need to see as a version 2 of it. It's not doing a good job right now. So in this case, the win goes to the remaining 3 models. And in the next one, I said add this raw wooden style of furniture in the interior space. And the same trend follows. Flux Kontext does something really weird. I don't know what is happening. The rest 3 did add the interior space, but I don't know why Seedream has added this brown band near the fireplace. Also, you will see the floor is tilted more. And so because of that, the win again goes to Qwen image edit and Nano Banana. I have to tell you here, before I was making video, I had compiled the overall presentation. I was about to make the video and this Qwen image edit 2509 released. Prior to that, horrible result with Qwen image edit. I don't know, they were pathetic. So I'm glad they released it, and I'm glad I was able to edit and record it. Otherwise I would be like, oh, I made the video and now new models are coming in. And in the next one, it's quite simple. I just wanted to add this spot in the background. Again, all of them have done well. Yes, Flux Kontext has moved things up and down, but I think the win, let me give it to all of them. So all of them did win in this round. So clearly, when you have simple tasks, it is really easy for editing, but when you have multiple tasks or complicated tasks, they really fail at it. And the last test is going to be render editing, where I went from this render to this render. And again, I really love playing with this. You see, simply I had to change the sky, the trees, the metal of the building, some foreground, and add humans. But you will also notice how degraded the image becomes. So that's also one thing to remember. When you will be editing multiple times, 3, 4, 5, 6, the image will constantly degrade. Yes, we can upscale it. I know that. But what you can't upscale is this material. You see this stone texture which has become really noisy. This can't be upscaled, okay? So some things, yes, these human figures, flowers, the benches and the trees can be upscaled, but a texture which really degrades or become noisy, you can't really upscale. So just keep that in mind when you're doing more than 2-3 times editing, okay? So the first edit was really simple. I gave it this image and I told it to add sky from this image. Flux Kontext removed sky. Seedream did a good job, but it removed the trees. So then the win goes to Qwen image edit and Nano Banana. In the next case, I'm saying replace all the background trees with these tall trees, and I think only Nano Banana was able to do it. The remaining 3 models did add those, but my prompt clearly said replace it, not add it. So that's why the win goes to Nano Banana in this case. And then in the next one, I'm saying you need to replace this grass by this colorful grass. And you can clearly see while all of them have added a colorful grass, I think only Nano Banana has kept the aesthetic value or the quality of this image. And that is why the win goes to Nano Banana. Really, I'm telling you, there is no competition for Nano Banana for multiple image editing. I don't know how they do it. It's maybe because they have understanding of a lot of images and text. Maybe that's why. Okay. Then in the next one, I created this character sheet. I think I used Midjourney for it. And I said, add some of the humans from the second image to the architectural render, adjusting their scale to match. Okay. And while all of them has added these human figures, you see Flux Kontext has put them in one line. Qwen image editor also put them in line. So that is why the win goes to Nano Banana and Seedream, because it looks more natural. Okay, in these two, again, Nano Banana feels more natural. I agree with you, but I think these both have done a good job. That is why. And the last thing that I did was I created this copper texture facade, and I said replace this facade by this copper texture. And while you will see all of them have this copper style of facade, and none of them kind of follow this grid pattern. So either I could give the win to most of them or all of them would lose. But I decided to give the win to Qwen, Nano Banana and Seedream because they at least have these seam lines. If Flux Kontext had those seam lines, I would have given the win to that as well. Okay, so these were the total tests that I created for multiple image editing. Totally they were 25, 2 for Google Earth, 3 for the 8 image parametric facade, 4 for clothing change, 4 for style transfer, 3 for control net transfer, 4 for interior spaces, and 5 for render editing. I know this is really less in comparison to my previous video, but it takes a lot of time. I think it took me really 4 days. I'm not kidding. Maybe I'm bad at prompting. And then who wins in this case? And you might have understood by now, Nano Banana is undoubtedly the winner for multiple image editing. In the second place comes Qwen image edit. I think the 3 point really went for Qwen in this case for control net style. But even if I minus 3, this becomes 11. Still Qwen image edit comes in second place. Seedream really starts struggling with multiple image editing. And then in the last place, I think Flux Kontext really now is really lacking. I don't think we should even look at Flux Kontext. It's really absurd that it came in May and in September we are saying no, we should not look at it. But this is my total score for multiple image editing. I don't know if you will agree to this. Let me know. Do you agree to this or not? Okay. And similarly with single image editing, you do have some do's and don'ts for multiple image editing as well. So the do's for multiple image editing are try to keep the aspect ratio same of the images that you want to change or edit. So if you have 4 images, try to have the aspect ratio of all the 4 images same. Then describe the desired output. You need to describe the output, not what to change. So while single image edit, you can just say that, okay, change the season. Here you also need to describe what do you want as well. Then when you use image stitch component, leave some spacing. So in that you see the third option, which is called image spacing. At least leave 10 to 15 because if you don't, they will stitch to both the image together and the output will be a stitched image together. Okay, so leave spacing. Then make iterative edit step by step. Ideally just 2 images like we saw. If you add more than 2, then you will get a totally random output. Okay, and then use clear and direct language. Don't use too complicated language. For don'ts, don't mix various aspect ratio images. You will get an error like I showed you in the presentation. Don't use more than 2 images if you want the same scene. Now what do I mean by that? So if you saw the 8 parametric example where we had 9 images, it was a totally random scene. Nothing was consistent. Same happens. If you want consistency, stick to 2. If you don't want consistency, you can go more than 2. And then don't give vague or overly complex prompt. It does not work. Try to keep it as simple as possible. This is according to my testing. And don't push for multiple iterations. The image starts looking noisy like we saw in the render example. And now let's see some of the limitations of this. So I've segregated the limitations for open weights and API. But the first point is same. Do not expect correct output in one go. None of these models will give you. And if you add more images, you will get more random output. For open weights, style transfer does not work unless it is generic. It does not work, but it's fine because we have IP adapter and Flux Redux. And the next point is using more than 3 images rarely works. It will not work. Really, I'm telling you, don't even try. Now with API, it's not about the output because you will get output one or the other time. It's about how costly it becomes. Even with that Google Earth iteration that I did, I had to do at least 20 iterations. So that's 20 into $0.04. It still goes on and that's only for one test. Okay. Then the next is very important. Data is stored in their server. And I'm constantly thinking about this since the last 2 weeks when I've been comparing these more models and more APIs come on ComfyUI as well. I did not see APIs last year so much in ComfyUI, but now we are seeing a lot of API. Just be mindful of what you want to share. Maybe if it is generic, maybe it's a Google Earth screenshot you want to upscale, fine, doesn't really matter. But see to it that what are you sharing, just be a little mindful of it. And lastly, what is the conclusion of the previous video and this video? I've kept it very simple. If you want to work with single image editing or multiple image editing with open weights, Qwen image edit is your answer. Don't look anywhere else. If you want to work with Seedream, only work with single image editing because it gives you a high resolution output. If you want to work with character, go with Nano Banana. If you want to work with multiple image editing, go with Nano Banana. For me personally, working with these 4 models from the past 2 weeks, creating I don't know how many images, I am going to go with Qwen Image Edit 2509 and explore it further. Completely going to ignore Flux.1 and going to stick to Nano Banana only for generic stuff. So that is it. That is my conclusion, understanding and putting out everything about these 4 models of Flux.1 Kontext, Qwen Image Edit and Qwen Image Edit 2509, Nano Banana and Seedream. And I hope you like my experiments and tests for single image editing and multiple image editing. Thank you for your time. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.